So welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. Whether you're a horse owner, a farrier, or somewhere in between, this webinar is going to be for you because farrier work isn't just about hoof care. It's about movement, comfort, safety, longevity. It's preventative medicine or preventative maintenance that's just as important as good nutrition, proper housing, consistent training, and quality vet care. So when a horse's feet are in balance and pain-free, they move better, feel better, and require less intervention elsewhere, like chiropractic work or long-term lameness rehab. But as we all know, not all farrier appointments are created equal. So there can be tension both in the horses and in the people involved. Maybe it's pain, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's a lack of understanding on all sides. And that's where this webinar is going to come in. Today, we're going to be talking about how you, as the owner or the farrier, can create better farrier experiences by understanding what's happening in the horse's body, what you can do to help, and how body work, timing, and a little teamwork can change everything. That's the goal for today, and I think we're going to have a great time. I've set aside about 2 hours. The information that we're going to go over today is really important, so I did not want to rush it. All right? By the end of this webinar, the goal is a better understanding of root causes of difficult farrier sessions from both the horse and the human perspective, okay? Real world examples of what doesn't work and what you can do instead. Hands-on techniques and simple habits that owners can use starting today to reduce tension, build trust with their horses before the farrier even arrives, okay? So we're gonna set them up for success and we're gonna talk about that later. Tools and tactics that farriers can use to build rapport and work with, not against, what the horse is experiencing. And a preview of how massage and body work, even just a few minutes, can dramatically improve the horse's experience and the farrier's success. I am Erin Sauer. I'm a certified equine massage therapist. I'm also nationally certified. I'm joined by Wanda and Jeremy Manley, a husband and wife team who have been working together to shoe horses in a truly thoughtful and collaborative way. Jeremy's been working on horse hooves since he was around 12 years old, and together he and Wanda bring decades of experience, especially with horses that are hurting, anxious, or just plain complicated. Their story is part of what makes this webinar special. So what are some of the unhealthy mindsets of owners that have led to issues with appointments?
And maybe it's just here, but we see a lot of people that just want to do hoof care during the summer or during the rideable months. We have a couple of indoor arenas here, but they are not, you don't have your pick of them. And so people just want to say, you know, October, November, probably by the 1st December, the weather's kind of set in and people are kind of done, you know, and they think that farrier care does not need to continue through the winter, but it does. They need that regular balancing, and they need somebody to get underneath them and take a good look, because your farrier may be the first person that refers you to a veterinarian. He may be the first one to see something that says, you know, I think you need a radiograph.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's that whole prevention thing. It's, you know, so much easier to deal with it when it's a little thing than a big thing.
And I mean, I talk about how the muscles tell a story and feet tell a story also. So if you're not reading the book very often, you don't really know what the story is.
Or if you don't know how to read the book, right?
Makes it harder.
Yeah, makes it harder.
So one of the other things that we struggle with is the very prevalent attitude that hoof care and picking up feet is the farrier's job. And that, you know, it's like, no, I'm not a trainer. If we need to do this, that's going to cost extra. And so that's a big one, that if we see them every, sometimes 8 weeks, but mostly 10 to 12 weeks, I mean, that's not very many times a year that we see them. And if you kick out the wintertime ones, we're seeing them 2 or 3 times a year, maybe, and they just don't get any better.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty wild mentality, honestly. It'd be like me telling my trainer, you know, I was supposed to lose 10 pounds, you know, it's up to you, get her done. You know, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, you can't be expecting people that come around on such a limited schedule to actually work with your horse on something that can be so incredibly stressful for the horse itself. And I mean, it needs practice. I mean, you don't expect a trainer to come by, ride your horse once every 6 months, and then, you're off to the championships. So it doesn't make any sense.
So I guess it worked out in the end. Okay. The other thing I would have to say that is becoming a bigger problem is sedation. People want to sedate to just get it over with. It's just a poor excuse for poor horsemanship. We've had several of these. We had a young horse that had been sedated since the first time she was trimmed. And she was a 3-year-old when we first showed up. And very, well, quarter horse, 16 hands. She's a big girl and busy. And the more we handled her, the more you could tell she wasn't very well. Salt broke, or her ground skills weren't very good. Maybe a more polite way to put that. But we just messed with her quite a little bit. Her first trimming was a couple of hours too. But Jeremy would do a foot, and then I'd take her for a short walk, and we'd work on, maybe you should side pass, or maybe you should back up, or maybe you should try a turn on the haunches. And I found out that when I kept her really busy like that in the middle of the trimming, then when she was glad to go back and give up her foot, she's like,
Oh,
hey,
gotcha.
this is great. I don't have to use my brain. And then about 6 weeks ago, Jeremy had a gal call, and she had 3 cow-bred horses, reined cow horse kind of bred horses, that she'd only had them trimmed every 2 years. And we're like,
Wow.
what? So we get there, and she said, the mare's really hard to do. We just sedate her. We said, we don't sedate, but we can come and look at her, and we can do the other 2. So we get there, pull her out. She's not a big horse by any stretch, maybe 14 hands, maybe 1,000 pounds, which makes the horse wrestling a little easier. And Jeremy just went to work on her. And the neighbor guy was the guy who'd been coming and giving her the Drosidon to whoever else had been trimming her over time. It was like, no, just keep that in your pocket, because we're not going to do that. So she took an hour and 45 minutes, and Jeremy took a lot off. She needed to be trimmed. She's a walk in the park now. So we don't do the sedation thing. We've had a couple horses that we thought might be pretty painful that we did at the veterinarian clinic. In Wyoming, it's illegal for farriers to give a sedative. In Colorado, and we are just like 7 miles from the Colorado border, it's legal. So, there's a lot of that wishy-washy stuff. You can go down and buy the drugs legally in Fort Collins, but the liability is huge if you jump off that cliff and start sedating horses. We just mess with them until they finally say,
Try to figure out a better way to do it.
you can have my foot.
Yeah. And I find that anytime a Band-Aid is used for something, it's not long term. Like Band-Aids aren't meant to be long term. So, I mean, there's so many Band-Aids in the horse industry where you're just like, well, let's just get it done and make it happen, and we'll use this technique, and then later we'll fix it. And according to your stories, they didn't get fixed later. So it's pretty wild. Especially with something like handling feet like that. This is basic horse care.
And they got to do it the rest of their life.
Yeah. There's one more belief that farrier work is traumatic for horses. Where does that come from?
I see that all the time about how inhumane it is to nail on a shoe, and how that's so wrong to do the trimming and the rasping. But I know you guys are a lot wetter where you're at.
Yeah.
But we get 10 to 14 inches of rain, and the ground is hard. We've had a lot of rain in the last 2 weeks, and the ground is hard. And if you rode a horse on that, they'd be down to the quick in no time. I don't care how good a foot they have. So, and there's so many options for shoes and boots, and it's just unbelievable what's out there. And we have a great farrier supply company in Colorado. And so Jeremy can get anything.
One of the best in the nation. I can have it in a day to a day and a half.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
I think, I don't know where that comes from, but we still hear that it's inhumane and you shouldn't be doing that. But frankly, they're comfortable, they're balanced, because we confine horses. Horses are not designed for confinement. Their feet, their digestive system, everything is based on motion. And we confine them. Even if we have 500-acre pastures, we confine them. We feed them differently. We change their social order. We do things that are natural for them. Any horse can jump and slide and stop, but we do it to excess. Yeah. We don't want to jump 2 feet. We want to jump 4 they're 6 and 5 foot wide. And we just ask them to do all these things that put them out of balance. So the least we can do is something for their feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of the first start of that being traumatic. The other side is the old school guys or gals that are pretty rough, pretty gruff, pretty rude, cussing, stomping, hitting, all that kind of stuff. And it takes a horse owner to see that once or twice with a couple of different folks. That, I mean, that's very traumatic for the horse and the people. I think that sticks with people.
Yeah, because you and I would stop that if somebody treated one of our horses or one of our customers' horses like that. But some people, if you're a new owner, you think maybe that's how that goes. So you always have to be their advocate. You always have to be the horse's advocate. You know, people can kind of take care of themselves, but we put them in bizarre situations for who they really are.
Yeah, for sure.
So then we have kind of some common misconceptions in the industry. And one of those is we got to get under as many horses as we can, right? And if you got a booked up schedule of 8 or 10 horses, so if you talk to some of the high level shoers in this nation or in Europe, they say 6 horses a day is a lot of horses. So how many farriers in your area that only do 6, right? They're crawling under as many as they can get. And here they're crawling under as many as they can get so they can make a living in the 4 months of summer that we have. It's that profit in numbers instead of profit in quality. So,
and I mean, that's common here also for farriers that do make a living at it, because the more you shoe, the more money you make. So, I mean, it is definitely a drive here as well. And there are a lot of horses and a fair amount of farriers. So I can definitely see where that would be happening.
So one thing that we have found, and I'm always thankful when people give us a little extra. We have almost all of our clients will give us a tip above and beyond what we charge. So if you take that extra time, maybe you don't need that extra 2 horses or that extra 3 horses, right? So some of that is maybe thinking a little bit differently, but it takes a little bit to get there. And owner and the farrier side is these horses got to stand like a statue. Like, no, they're built for movement. It's pretty hard to get them to stand still. And for a long time before we met you and we were doing horses, I was known as the guy that said, get off their head. I mean, you can tell. And I mean, I would be working on a hind foot or back to them, and I would say, get off their head. So I mean, that's a broken record. And that is a real, to me, is a misconception that they got to stand there. I mean, I can move with them until they're comfortable. They get comfortable, they're gonna be way better.
This mare that we did a few weeks ago for the first time, that they were sure we were gonna have to sedate her, and the guy's walking around with the Democidin. It was really kind of funny. So the owner decides he wants to hold her, classic flat nylon halter, 6 foot lead rope, whether you needed it or not. And he's got her like this. And I just said, you can't do that. And I pushed his hand down, and he reached around my hand and put it back up on the top. And I said, I'm going to hold her. Finally, the wife says, that might be a good idea.
Oh my gosh. I think because I see that also, and it's a habit. People are either they're taught or they're kind of nervous because some of these horses don't have ground skills, as we've already mentioned. And so they think that the closer you hold in the face, the better grip you have. And it's like, that's actually the opposite. You have less control because now you're making them feel claustrophobic. And so when you back off, all of a sudden they go, oh, okay, thanks. I appreciate that. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that horse is funny. She kind of came over the top of me a couple times, and I finally, got enough rope action to send her back. And she's like, "Oh, okay, I can stand here." We found a little sandy spot. She was just happy as a fling.
You did mention already that you don't sedate horses, and sooner or later, as you started incorporating the massage moves that you were learning from the clinic, you were just finding that the horses were just so much more well-behaved. And then, so tell us a little bit about how you suckered Jeremy into start watching these videos.
We had done a couple of horses across the road for years. So the neighbor guy calls, and he's another teen sorter, teen penner type of guy. Very extremely type A personality. Yeah. And he's military. So he's got that extra edge to him. He gets a hold of Jeremy one day and he says, I had the farrier out and got 3 shoes on the mare, but couldn't get the 4th shoe on. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And so you always think it's the right hind, right? The least handle is on the offside. It's awkward for humans. And it's usually the last foot done by a lot of farriers. So by then the horse kind of had enough. So Jeremy talks to him. We set a date. He said she was reactive to the anvil too. So we get there. That one's fairly close, only a few miles. Jeremy unloads his pickup, puts everything on the offside of the pickup so she doesn't have to listen to all that banging. He's got her caught and I take her and kind of walking around with her. Again, she's cutting horse bred. She's not a very big girl at all. And she's kind of already expecting a fight. Jeremy takes the shoe and just kind of takes a quick look at her foot. And he goes off behind the pickup and kind of shapes it up a little bit. And I'm just walking around and feeling of her and she's just paced, but I can't do much with the back end, right? I can only be effective on the front. So I start with the little neck twiggles and she's like, oh, that feels pretty good. Kind of loosening her up and she doesn't want anything touched on her face. It's like, that's fine. She's kind of real jerky. And I just started on that. And then I came down the shoulder and down on the pecs and she was just like a softball. She was so hard. So it's like, okay, I'm not sure why they couldn't get a shoe on the front foot, but this is what I'm going to rub until she says no more rubbing. And Jeremy shapes the shoe a little bit, rasps the foot a little bit. We do what we can, kind of get that front end loosened up. And it was like she couldn't pull that leg forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these little successes like this is what really made us start doing a lot more of this. And as you said, Wanda got me to watch these and
Yeah. Because I was concerned, those cow horses are fast.
Yeah.
We've got a couple and they're fast. And I thought, we better look at all these videos. So we did we watched all the back end, and I watched to see where you're standing, how you're using your hands, how big of a release are you waiting for? Because I know I'm going to get less. Because I have less experience and I have less to work with. But she nailed that shoe on, pulled the clenches down, gave her cookie. She walked off, went and got about a mile full of hay and came back. She
came back and was happy to come back.
She's like, other side, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was so reactive. But when she started taking that stuff away in the front end, she's like, I can lift that. Feels pretty good.
Oh, man. What a blessing that was for her that day to have you guys there show up and just be like, no, we're going to do it a little different. We're going to do a little different.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard because you kind of have to entertain the owner a little bit.
Yeah. Distract them.
Yeah. So it's like, him and Jeremy talk about, I don't know, something. And I walk her around and and Jeremy comes and does a few other little things and he picks up all 4 feet and he just tells the guy, well, let's just check them all, make sure everything's okay. And so by the time you check the other 3, when you get to the 4th one, she's like, oh, sure, have it.
Yeah. The horses do too.
So I'm going to throw a shameless plug in for you here.
Uh-oh. I'm ready.
Oh, anybody that's on the fence about if Erin ever offers a lifetime subscription to something, she's going to lose money because you will go back and you will use it over and over.
I think I've printed off the PDF manual workbook. I can't remember what you called it. I think I printed that off 3 times.
Yeah.
It's like every time you do a journey through the horse, it's like I just go to Office Depot and print it off and I have them bind it. And because every time
get something else out of it.
Something else out of that. I'm always thinking, how did I miss that the first
I know.
round? So
I'm like that with a lot of things. Well, good. I'm glad you guys are getting everything you want out of it. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was money well spent 10 times.
Perfect. Good. Thank you. So what can owners do to set their horse up for success before you guys come?
Do you want to talk?
No, you can talk. I'll talk later.
Okay.
We're only an hour into it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Conserve his energy.
So the regular farrier work is important. Even if your farrier comes and he just takes off a little bit, it's another set of eyes. And he may notice something and say, he looks like he's standing a little off, or wow, he's losing weight, gaining weight, turning out, turning in, because horses go through, they're born kind of like this, They're born splayed out. As they mature, they come in as old horses. They may toe in a little bit, and then all of that will start to go back, and an old horse will be splay footed too. Right before the appointment, please keep everything the same. Feed them in the morning, and you can hang a hay bag if you want to hang a hay bag. We do not tie our horses when we work on them. Even if the owner wants to handle them, they are untied. I had an unfortunate experience years and years ago where my most favorite farrier went someplace and they tied a horse up and he was doing a front foot and she reared up and squished him badly. So
And cross ties are bad for that. I know in barns like you guys have and you work in, cross ties are the way to go because
yeah.
somebody can take the horse out there, they can put them in cross ties and they're gone.
Yeah.
Right? That to me is not really thinking about the professional you brought in. You know, that person's livelihood depends on being safe. And you just walked off, right?
Yeah. And I've seen farriers struggle with horses in cross ties, you know, as I'm at the barn massaging a horse in the stall.
Yeah, I mean, even just unhook them on one side. If you don't have a good place to tie, or if you have a horse that doesn't tie well, we usually just drop them on the ground because they're not going to go very far. I mean, where are they going to go?
Yep.
But yeah, that's a big thing. So feed them before the appointment. It just takes out that anxiety. Don't separate them from their buddies. We have several groups of 4 horses that we go into, and we'll get there and they catch one, and we have particular ones that we like to do first, and we do those. The other 3 mill around, they're in the box, they lick the back of his head, they check you out for a cookie, but it's all very relaxed and everybody's there together. We don't have a lot of herd dominance things occur when they're in that situation, so I don't worry about loose horses. And then we just drop the halter and put it on somebody else, and that one will go get a drink and come back, and it's fine. Horses are much easier to handle in a herd situation.
Yeah, I like that too.
So
we had people kind of on this front that we did a horse and, well, we're going to turn her out. It's like, no, leave her in here with her buddy. So her buddy is here too. And then in the middle of it, they show up with another horse trailer with a stallion in there. And you know what they're like going down the road. And so he's noisy. He's moving around. And we got to turn him loose because we're bringing him. It's like, no, you put him outside. He knows they're in here. You put him outside. We'll get this done. And then we'll go do him. And so that whole thing about what makes the job harder or easier, I mean, that's pretty easy. You know, yeah, that horse might poop in the stall, so you got to pick up and put in the wheelbarrow, but it makes my job way easier if they're right there, right?
now I will say this, bedding is kind of expensive here. We have a forest here, but nearest sawmill is in Fort Collins. But people are weird about bedding their stalls. I mean, we bed deep, and it's just a comfort issue. I want my horses to lay down and sleep at night, and I have that old mare who needs a little extra. And but yeah, that place we were at, the guy was like, "No, she'll poop." It's like, it's fine. Pooping is good, you know. And so
don't worry.
we did the mare, we did the gelding. He's like, "I'm going to turn them out." Because by then that stallion had been put out outside. And it's like, no. And he's like, well, the stallion can't see the other 2. And it's like,
he knows they're here.
They're in here. These 3 horses are kept together all the time. So we get out. So I get the owner calmed down, get him out of the barn. I go get a couple of cookies. Jeremy's starting on the stallion. And the wife is like, he hasn't been done in 2 years. He's a little, reined cow horse kind of horse. She's like, oh, he's just so hard to do. And she's like, he's going to blow. I bet she said that 15 times. He's going to blow. He's going to blow. I can see it in his eyes. So I'm standing off on the right. Jeremy's on the left. And I just stuck my hand out there and gave him a cookie. And he's like, oh, you had a cookie for me.
Oh my gosh.
He just he wasn't even all that tense to begin with. And he's like, so Jeremy's got the first foot done. And then she's like, well, maybe I'll have you come back in the fall and do the other 3. And I said, oh, no.
We're doing them all right now.
Doing them all today.
You see how good he was?
Our fall schedule is crazy because Jeremy's gone quite a bit in the fall. And she's like, oh, he's going to blow up, though. It's like, blow up. I'm feeding him cookies. He's not going.
He's happy as can be. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And he was another one, Jeremy took off 1.5 inches a foot. It was just like, oh, I can't. She keeps saying he's arthritic and he can't mount a mare anymore. And I'm thinking, if you did his feet and bedded his pen, he'd be good to go.
Yeah, really.
So don't change a bunch of stuff. because we're there. It just needs to be a part of the routine. They should see us pull up and it should not be any big deal.
So the other thing is here, and you probably don't get this, but maybe you do. The horse hasn't seen anybody in a week or so, and or 5 weeks, or so immediately they're washing legs, they're putting hoof dressing on, they're braiding the mane, they're all of this stuff. So all of this commotion before we get there. One,
Oh,
washing the legs and hoof dressing. You're not fooling anybody, and it's a mess. It gets everywhere.
yeah.
Uh, on me, and you get it in your clothes, you get it on you, you can't hold on to stuff. So don't do that. If you haven't done anything with them, I mean, we can tell. So
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
And dried mud is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal. Doesn't make that big of a mess. Doesn't foul up the rasp. Doesn't screw up the hammer handles and all that. It's like dried
Oh,
mud.
okay. That's
So
interesting.
you get wet mud on the reins of the nippers or pull-offs, and you'll actually get blisters from it.
Oh,
And I got one on because of that just last weekend.
here's the proof.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So-
we do have a lot of mud in our area, especially during the winter. It is super, super wet. So generally, I mean, I feel like the owners around here are really aware of that and always bring the horse in or have them dried off for
That's
2 hours
excellent.
before, I think I don't know if people hose legs off, but generally if they do, I hope they're doing it way before the farrier gets there, and then, or they'll rub some shavings on them or whatever to dry them off. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I've noticed around here.
So a couple other things you heard us talk about: get off their head. Yeah, stay off their head. They got to balance. And then phones. I mean, everybody, they'll pick their they're supposed to be holding the horse and they're not watching the horse. They're playing on their phone, or they get a phone call and they're talking. And the horses is responding to all of that. It's problematic because it takes their focus.
Yeah, because the horse is always looking for leadership, right? Somebody has to be in charge. And when the person picks up their phone and they go over there, then the horse is like, well, I'm going to do whatever I want to do because now I'm in charge. So
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's super distracting. I mean, you're better off most horses won't move. If he's got a foot up, they won't move. You're better off dropping the lead rope and just backing up. Take your phone call. Don't let your house burn down. And then put your phone up, come back. Yeah. But don't stand there because I'm a hand talker, obviously, and people start moving around and it's super.
Heart rate goes up and the energy goes up, and the horse responds to that. And
That's a bad one.
I mean, it can really be a time where you get to bond with your horse anyways. So you can put the phone away for a while and
yep.
stand there and watch the work. I always take advantage whenever I have someone of knowledge that I don't have out. So I'm asking like 500 questions. I probably make them mad that way, but I'm trying to learn everything I can while they're there. And they're always so generous to teach me
Yeah.
things. So I'm taking full advantage. You're going to have to call me back later. I'm busy right now. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really what it should be. Our horses are at our disposal for 24 hours, but typically, what do you really spend with them?
Not a lot.
Not a lot, 2, maybe 3 hours a day. And then you may have, some kind of ancillary behavior where you're, in the facility, but you're not actually doing something with them. So it's really not a big ask to say, put your phone away.
Yeah, agreed.
So one other thing is messing with the horse, the front end of the horse while the farrier's under him. We can feel some amazing things in the muscles and the skeletal system of the horse. We were at a place where a gal wanted to fit a new head stall, and she wanted to do that while I'm working on the horse. And it's like she would hold it up there to kind of introduce the bit, and the horse would open its mouth, move its lips. I can feel that in a hind leg. And I mean, I can tell when that stuff's going on. So some of this helps, but you can really hinder as well. I mean, you can feel amazing stuff. You probably know this from the massage work. You feel that,
Yeah.
and it's just pretty amazing. I can feel that. So
Well, I think it's wild that someone would fit a head stall while their feet are getting done. Like, that's wild to me.
Right.
You wouldn't believe how many horses we give warmer to.
yeah.
Oh, I can see that. I can see that.
It's
Mhm.
like, really?
Oh, yeah.
'Cause we typically worm 4 times a year here if you have, more than 1 or 2. Yeah, it's like we've got one on Saturday, and that was the first thing she said was, can you worm her too when you come?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Oh, sure.
And,
What?
and of course, I mean, we have some geldings that I'm probably in some of the most critical places for horses' safety. I'm at their flank, I'm at their belly,
Yeah.
I'm at their neck. I mean, I'm at those places where everything else kills them from, right? So
Yeah.
we have some places where they get about the same vet care as they get farrier care. So some of these horses, I get done with them, they're relaxed enough. We can clean the sheath on them too and
Yeah.
take the beat out. We've had people that had horses for years, didn't know a gelding could get a bean and it could cause problems.
Oh yeah.
Hind leg lameness, right?
Right.
Get a big
Right.
old bean. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't carry that stuff around, but sometimes Jeremy can tell because you can smell it, right?
Yep.
And he'll tell the owner, why don't you go get a bucket of warm water?
Oh my
And you got
gosh.
a washcloth or you got something soft.
Caught.
Yeah.
And he'll
I
clean
mean,
them.
all I offer is a free de-shedding during the spring months. I don't go all that way. I'll tell him like, hey, get under there right now. I'll keep rubbing the glutes. You fix that. You
Jeremy's
guys are
got
above and
no
beyond.
fingernails.
I've got no fingernails, so
Yeah.
it's one of
There
those
you go.
things that I'm not scratching, I'm not picking. It's pretty soft. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, so it's kind of funny, you know, because those horses will go to the veterinarian for teeth care or something that he needs to sedate him for, and he always asks, you know, let me check,
we got them down. Let's.
you know, let me check, and they'll say, Jeremy's my farrier, he's already been done.
Oh my gosh, you're known. You're known.
So we do always preface that we are not veterinarians, but you
Yeah.
know, he kind of smells like, and he's kind of walking funny, so maybe we should take a looky see. So
Wow.
So then which side should the holder be on for the farrier? We are pretty strong believers unless there's another reason not to. And Wanda talked about the little quarter horse mare on the same side as the farrier. And there's one really good reason for that. The horse can get away. So
Beautiful.
I'm never trapped anywhere. That horse has someplace to go. We might have to, put them up against the panel or pull them up where their head's kind of in a corner or something, but they still have a place to go. They're not trapped.
yeah, it seems to make a lot of difference if they really feel like they have to get away, if they're really that uncomfortable, it's like, go.
Yeah.
We'll just reset here in a second. And so we don't have all that tension on their face and pressing on them, trying to make them be somewhere they don't want to be. It's like, well, maybe you don't like standing there because it's uncomfortable. You know, a horse that's having a hard time with their hind legs, maybe we go find a little place where they can stand uphill. So that's a little easier on the hind leg. Or maybe they have a front leg lameness. So maybe we need to go find a little sandy spot or do them in the stall where they can stand in their bedding. But if a horse needs to go, I let him go. My only rule is you can't come over the top of me.
Yep.
And so that's why it's important that you have enough horsemanship to be able to wiggle them back on the line. But we have a lot of places we go. I take a camp chair and we kind of get started and I wiggle them back and Jeremy gets underneath them and I just sit down.
And you would not believe those horses will walk up to her and put their head in her lap.
Yeah,
now
they know.
Over the top of me, right? There's just nothing to worry about. They're nearly 360 vision. They can see all around them and they know that I am the stop sign and they're fine with that. So
the other thing is picking up legs. The learning to pick up the legs in a respectful manner. There's some things that we learned. I mean, we went half our life or 2/3 of our life without knowing. And that's using the chestnut to pick up a leg. Instead of pulling on the feathers of the fetlock or pushing your toe into the heel of the foot or taking your hoof pick and poking them on the coronary band, right? If you take and reach around on the front leg and just take your hand and just squeeze the fetlock, 90% of horses will pick their leg up. Let them pick it up, put it back down. Let them pick it up, put it back down. And pretty quick, they'll get to where you just rub your hand up there and they pick their foot up. And it becomes a real calling card for me.
Yeah.
And we were actually working on a horse at the vet clinic who was pretty painful on a tendon ligament injury coming down the tendon sheath. And the guy just reached down and just pinched that tendon sheath, right above where the sesamoids are. And it's like that horse just went through the roof.
Yeah.
It's like you caused that. This horse is sore. So quit doing that. Slide your hand up a little bit and they'll be really good. On the back leg, you can do the same thing with the calf of the hock as long as they're not sore in the hock. Even if they're a little sore in the hock, you can just gently cup your hand and pinch that, and they'll pick their leg up, and then you can just slide your hand down and capture the leg and pull it forward or backwards or whatever you need to do with it. And that really becomes a really good calling card for picking up feet.
Yeah, I remember growing up getting told to tap the fetlock with the hoof pick. And so I did that for years. And luckily, I got taught that same method that you're talking about, the chestnut and the cap of the hawk. And I pick up a lot of feet. I pick up a lot of feet, less than you, but more than most people. It works every time.
Yeah,
It works every time. And it works every time, especially when you say, I got all day, baby. I can do this all
Right.
day. Like that mentality of, I don't need your foot right now. You can give it
Yep.
to me in a couple seconds. They don't take too long to give it to you. And it's more respect. I had someone pinch my mare's tendon, my Georgia peach, and she did not appreciate that. I quickly was like, oh, don't do that. I was a little too late. And so I said, sorry, I should have told you that's not how we pick up feet. And then I showed him the chestnut and she was like, oh, sure, no problem. Pinch my tendon again, though, we're going to have some issues.
Yeah, so then the
it's
horse
just the
reaches around and
nicest way
bites
to
the
do it.
farrier.
Yeah.
Farrier gets mad, yells at the horse, and
Yeah.
wow, there went the good energy.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I like to laugh about having a red mare, but like don't mess with her. Don't make her mad halfway through a farrier appointment because that's just going to go downhill from there. It's not a good time.
Yeah, there's just better ways to do things. And
Yeah.
that ask, that's such a nice ask when you can just slide your hand up there and just a little tweak and they're like, oh yeah. And you know, 9 times out of 10, they need to adjust their weight a little bit. They'll load a different
Yeah.
leg and they're, like you said, they're happy. They're happy to give you whatever it is you're asking for. You just have to learn to ask better.
Right.
So you want to do the last one?
Well, yeah, don't be offended if the farrier wants someone else to hold your horse. We have a couple of people that are, I call them right brain extroverts, but they're just all over the map and they just make it so much harder. So
That's
if
right.
you're highly distracted or if you've got something else going on, you know, try not to bring that to the appointment or have somebody else available to hold because it's once you kind of get this process started, there's really not much to it.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I don't think we ever talked about, Aaron, but I kind of got into this this last weekend, and it deals with if you know you have a problem horse, don't schedule that horse when the farrier's got 10 horses.
Yeah.
Tell him or her that, hey, we may need to do a little bit more work and schedule it on a day, and maybe you got to pay extra mileage or extra fee, but that extra time will pay dividends.
Well, and I also had with my little Chester, who's getting his first farrier appointment coming up here. I wanted the morning appointment. Sorry, but I'll take you when you're fresh and when you're relaxed, not after
There's
you've had
nothing wrong
further
with that.
horses. Yeah, so that was kind of strategic on my part. Like I want to set Chester up for success.
Yep.
So that was real important for me to kind of get that appointment in the morning.
Okay.
That's so funny because this veterinarian that we use, I call and I always ask for the last appointment of the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I want him when he's
Yep.
tired.
Yeah.
No,
No, because he knows it's the last horse. So he knows he doesn't have to hurry for the next one, right? So
Oh,
you
good.
get the best visit because, I mean, he's going to be there for a little while extra anyway. So he's going to give you 15, 20 minutes if you want it.
Yeah. And he
Oh,
lives
mine's
right there.
grumpy. I want him out. He
Really?
wants out of here when he's last of the day. Yeah, I want my
Yeah.
vet early too, because who knows what he's dealt with that day. That's funny though. You got to know
Yeah.
your vet, I
Yeah.
guess. Better
Yeah,
know
he
your
lives.
farrier,
He
too.
lives right there. It's all the same piece of property. He lives right there.
Oh, perfect.
And he's got 2 girls that are in high school, and so they come home and they come wandering through the clinic, and he's just more relaxed, and it's like, you know,
That's smart.
the gal that does all the scheduling and the billing, she's like, oh, you want 4:30? She knows.
She knows
Hi,
you.
it's Wanda. I want 4:30.
That's right. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some homework for the horse owners. And what does that look like? What's some homework that you would be giving out?
Um, Even if you don't like to pick up your horse's feet, if that is scary for you, at least spend some time on the legs. And you can do it brushing or affections or however you want to do that. But be a presence in the thing that makes you, that gives you tension, because your horse is probably sensing that. And
Yeah.
we make incremental changes. Horses, when a horse does a big change, it's almost always for the worst, right? When they're just suddenly something happens. But if you do these little incremental changes and it's like, yeah, I rubbed my hand all the way down to the bottom of the cannon bone on the right hind, and it's like, win. So make those a part of your daily routine,
Yeah.
because we don't, you don't get over fear by jumping off the cliff. You get over fear by doing these little incremental things. And it's not just your horse being afraid, it's you being tense also.
Yeah.
So that's a huge one. And you have to write it down and you have to make yourself go do the icky stuff. But handling their feet is a big part of it, because if you think of, what if he has an injury? What if he does get in an equipment yard and cut a fetlock? And what if you have to change that bandage every 3 days?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to drive back to the vet clinic and pay $300 for him to do it. You're going to have to do it. So make sure your horse is just really familiar with you being everywhere. You shouldn't have any place where you can't touch. And that includes their
That's right.
sheath or their teats or.
Do you guys have a lot of navicular problem?
Yeah.
Whether it's actually navicular lesions or navicular
Yeah.
syndrome?
Yep.
Those horses, you can make it so you can drive nails without big trouble on those horses if you don't drop their feet.
Wow.
That you don't already have that concussion started, so then you can actually drive and that concussion is not as bad for them.
Jeremy even changes the way he nails shoes on those horses, because they usually need a pad and some impression material and whatnot. But a lot of farriers use, I call it a double tap, but they'll hit the head of the nail and then tap, tap. Well, on those horses, they don't like that concussion because those bones are sore in there. And so he does a one tap, one tap, one tap. There's no tap, tap. Interesting. Some of these horses that we thought we might have to sedate to get them done, they like that method of nailing. Thing to stick away under. I might have to use that someday.
Exactly.
And then Wanda talked a lot about ground manners and being able to move the horse back. That's something that is very important. Otherwise, the horse is all over them and pretty quick, the horse goes by and
Yep.
I'm running, backwards into the holder and the horse is gone or in the box or, we got a big old mess and then energy's up and.
Yeah. Perfect. So, things a farrier can do to win the horse's heart. Now, you had mentioned my clinic and how my clinic is named Winning Your Horse's Heart. And it's funny because that was what I kept noticing was happening after I did body work, is all of a sudden that horse loves me. So I won that horse's heart through body work. So let's talk about a couple things specifically for farriers that they can do to just make life better for the horse and make that horse want to, be a client of yours instead of looking for a different one.
So probably the first thing is the horseman's handshake. I mean, it's taught by a lot of people, and that's doing this out there to the nose so that you can introduce yourself in a non-threatening manner. And a lot of times you put your hand out, they'll come to it with their nose, and it shows that I'm not gonna mug you, I'm not gonna eat you, I'm not gonna whatever. The horseman's handshake is really a good thing. Kind of sets the tone, drops the energy, really helps.
Head down, so they're breathing. And it's just such a simple thing. You just offer it. And some horses will turn away and say, nope, I'm not interested.
Yep.
You just hold your space and offer again. And it may take 2 or 3 times. And then all of a sudden they'll say, oh, okay. It's just a nice way to say hello, like Jeremy said, without getting grabby.
Yeah.
And then most of the time, you'll see farriers kind of try to take in a full look we may just look at the feet as we're going around, but you're walking around the horse looking to see where you're starting, right? So as you're doing that, touch the horse, see if you can find hot spots, tight spots, be gentle with it and that respectful and gentle. And, instead of walking up, pinching the tendon sheath, yanking a shoe off, that whole thing, hey, we're here to do this, but let's have a look.
So we've talked a little bit about being flexible, like taking the horse for a walk, giving them breaks. And, you've already mentioned that going slower is faster. You've also talked about rubbing the legs and not dropping the foot.
Like you said, the tension, it can be a lot there. But the mouth, they'll be kind of lippy. And I engage that. If a horse is kind of lippy and he's grabbing at my coat or, hair, whatever, I do the mouth releases and I do them top and bottom and kind of crafty. I can kind of get over there on the other side and not have to move and do top and bottom on the other side. And then, because then when that release starts to come, it is just so huge. You get your big ugly yawns and it just, it can just go on and on and on. It's like their body kind of gets longer and they relax and the nippiness, the bitiness just goes away.
And that's what it feels like to me too.
And so the horse that kind of engages me with this mouth, he is really mouthy. But I've had good luck with that because lots of times it's almost like they're asking for help. It's like, I need to get rid of this. And I keep reading that the last place that you have tension in a horse is in their face.
No, we're going to go through some affections and some photos, and then I'm going to tell everyone what they have available to them. Well, we'll start with the butt scratches because that's the favorite. Okay. So I'll let you describe them as we go through them.
So this is Wanda can do a lot on the front, and as I'm walking around, that's what we're doing. I'm just right here. I'm just checking, are they tight? Are they tense? I can rub there. I can kind of check the tail too, and then you can check the hip all from right there with pretty easy access and no big fuss. So I'm just checking the glutes there, and I've got my other hand up on the hip, feeling up there, and I can go right from that position, right onto the hock, cap the hock, pick the foot up, or slide down the leg and do the lower leg, all right there, within pretty easy movement.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's what I do in massage also. I mean, it's all connected, so you're obviously going to go from one spot to another.
So
this is the front legs.
Yeah, so this is the front leg. So this is same horse, but this is kind of the coronary band rub and your ting points. So the interesting thing for me as a farrier, this is also the skeletal system I can check here. So with those two ting points on the outside of the toe quarters, you can feel the joint between P2 and P3. So you can kind of look and see how bad are we for balance. And then I'll just go around the foot like that and come up, and you can do the same thing where P1, P2, and then where the cannon bone and P1 come together. You can feel those joints and you can actually tell if you're anywhere close to balance. You can also do that as you come up the leg on the knee. You can feel all of those. So we can talk about that. But right here, I'm doing two things at once. I'm doing the good stuff, the coronary band scratch and the ting points and checking for me.
Awesome. Here's the grounding.
Yep. And look at her. She's dropped her head and her lip is
she looks very relaxed. And
kind of hard to tell, but in that first photograph, she was standing pretty narrow behind, but now she's widened out her stance. So it's a good sign.
And I mean, this is really just beautiful, right? I mean, we all know what a relaxed horse looks like. And the head's not up, the eyes aren't sharp, they're not tense, she's not clamping her tail. So that's just nice. And, I know you mentioned with the grounding, it doesn't take too long, but you can take 30 seconds to 2 minutes to do this and wait for a change in their body, and that can make a big difference.
So it does something really good for me too. I'm no spring chicken, and it gives me a chance to wipe the sweat off my brow and catch my breath.
It was super cold this day. It was like, I don't know,
really?
15 degrees, and you can see he's got a shirt and a sweater on and his chaps, and the horse is all fluffed.
I got a 1,200-pound heater, right? I can get close. but the handler has to be comfortable. So it's something else to think about there.
Yeah.
So here we're coming up the hock and just kind of feeling the tendons and the hock. And right there, they'll get spavined. You can feel for that. And if they're spavined there, you kind of know that maybe we need to be a little more careful around the hock. But I'll move up the foot and do this, and then you can do the leg scratches right here too. This horse I don't have to do this with, but she likes it too. Some of those other horses, this is how I make their farrier appointment go well. Go to the other side. Nothing
Yeah.
says I have to be on that side. And sometimes we have another little mare that she's had her hocks fused and all kinds of
Oh,
problems.
boy.
She's a little mare, and one day she was being kind of finicky, and she let me pick up the left hind, and I just reached over and touched the right hind from the other side of the horse, and she tipped her foot up, and I trimmed it right there on the ground. No fuss, no
Wow.
fuss. 5 minutes later, done. But keeping your kind of eyes open, ears open, and mind open.
Yeah, my farrier actually for my older horse would kind of put his butt right at the hocks, and he would bring the leg out and into his lap right there in the center line,
Yep.
just like you're doing.
Yeah,
And he
there's
would
probably
go
we
that
had
way.
some pictures like that too. I'm not very good about sitting there, but I can
Mhm.
kick a foot out and lay that hoof across, the arch of my foot and do the
Oh,
same thing.
perfect.
So it's lifted up a little bit and really helps.
Yeah, I do
That-
that to help them relax.
That's my
that
farrier yoga.
Yeah.
So it's a trick. I try to teach it to everybody.
So coming up the leg and kind of that same checking that muscle mass. You had told us about sometimes they'll get a knot right inside there. Was
Mhm.
interesting. This horse had that.
Oh,
So we
cool.
kind of worked that out, and it just went away, I think.
Oh my gosh, that's so great because that's not an area most people check. And so when you find something and you're able to get that to go away, it
Right.
improves their range of motion and how they're standing and how they're moving. That's awesome.
So here's a something that our vet kind of taught us. He's a chiropractor. So this is tail pull and this is downward tail pull. And all I'm really doing is aligning that tail. And a lot of times we get a really fussy horse on the back. You can do this or the other tail pull, and it really helps. You don't have to be aggressive with it. Just kind of pull and it's pretty interesting. I think the next picture, the other pull really shows a picture. Look how she leaned into that.
Uh-huh.
She loves this.
Uh-huh. We've been doing that for the homework this week for Journey Through the Horse, and I've been blown away at how many horses really, really enjoyed this one. It's been
Yeah,
so fun to watch.
Yeah, this it's kind of hard to tell with those photographs, but she's pretty heavy bodied.
Yeah.
She likes those long stretches.
Yeah. Very
So
interesting.
doing the same thing on a hind.
Point.
Yep,
10
10
points.
points. Well,
And
this is your ulcer check.
one of them. Yep. If you come down the back, there's two spots where you can kind of feel ulcers. One is as you come to the back, almost when you get to the SI joint. That's an upper ulcer or a front gut ulcer. The other one is right underneath, kind of right behind where the belly button would be. If you just kind of run your hand there, and if that horse picks up, so doing the bottom, they really hump up, and then if you do the top, you see them really sink. Cinching
Mhm.
horses, we've kind of thought that maybe this is something that if a person's got a really cinchy horse, maybe they need to check that, even if it's, if they're not running a rear girth. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. There's the other spot.
and there's about the spot. Yep.
All right. I think that's all I have for those. Now, let's take a look at our list here and make sure that we've kind of talked about all of them. So, for the front lower legs, we did the knee rub, the fetlock rub, coronary bands, and the ting points. We saw some pictures of that. And then for the hind
I'll
legs,
also do the heel bulb and then check for pulse as I'm there. It's really easy.
yeah,
to
while
do.
you're doing the coronary band.
Yep. Right.
And then hind legs is obviously going to be similar. But then you also do the inside of the hind leg and the stifle for them bigger hipped horses. I mean, I found that all horses like that. So just a nice one to run your hands over and see how that goes.
Yeah, because you know, a lot of owners, A, don't brush up there, and B, don't rub up there. But you're right. You get that big rhythmic motion up in there.
Oh
Ooh
yeah.
la la.
And it doesn't take
They-
long for your fascias to release in there.
Yeah, they really love these funny, strange spots that nobody pays attention to, or you've kind of been told, like, don't
Yeah,
rub the
right.
flank. And it's like, why not? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And then, you know, Wanda talked about the jaw rub, TMJ, the jaw release, a little bit of work on the wither and the scapula, and both the handler or the farrier can do that one. And then the tail pull, the two different styles of that. Okay, so we have shared a lot with you tonight. Real practical tools that can make hoof care safer, smoother, and more successful for everyone involved. And now we want to give you a few clear next steps depending on where you're at. Whether you're just getting started or looking for deeper support, think about an option that would work best for you and what your needs are. The first thing that I've done is I've created a video bundle called Winning Your Farrier's Heart. This video bundle is for if you're thinking, I love those techniques, what Jeremy and Wanda were talking about, and I want to start using those tomorrow. I've put that bundle together for you, and it includes the exact videos that they picked out and that they use in most of their appointments. Okay, and we kind of talked about those. So for the next 2 days, that video, I'm going to put that link in the chat here. So that's kind of your first option. Those are the ones that we have talked about today. The next one is my full, and so if you have my online clinic already, you don't need the bundle. You can message me and I'm going to get you what you need for that. The second is my full online clinic, equine bodywork clinic called Winning Your Horse's Heart. So for the next 2 weeks, that's going to be at $197, and that's for my entire clinic. If you want to go beyond just prepping for the farrier, if you want to understand the whole body of tension and how it shows up and how to release it, then the Equine Bodywork for Horse Owners Clinic will probably be your next step. And I know a lot of you on here already have that. So if you already have that, you do not need it again. You're in the club and you can't get out. That's how that works. Okay. And then after that, I am going to be restructuring my clinic. So after 2 weeks, it's going to look a lot different, and the price is not going to be anywhere near that. So get it now if you can. I did extend it for 2 weeks because I know that some people get paid every 2 weeks. So there's your chance. All right. So here's the clinic, the full clinic, if you need that. All right. And then the last option that we have available, and this one's really exciting, and I've already taken advantage of this one with Jeremy, but he forgot to charge me. So whoopsie. A consultation with me, and I do those for $97, and that can be anything bodywork. So I'm not going to be your foot person, but I will be your bodywork. And Wanda's actually done those. She's done consults with me. So that she's done my intensive massage course. So she's done a lot of stuff. My consults are about $97 for an hour, but I have packages for that. And that can be anything that you want. Okay. So if you need help with relaxing your horse or getting to bond with your horse or whatever you need help with, I'm going to be there for that one-on-one consult. So there is the link for that. And then what I'm really excited about, because I lost my farrier that I had would always help me because I do natural hoof care on my mare. And then my gelding needed shoes. So I had one of each horse, and I had a farrier for my gelding, and he would always help me. And then my horse got old and he had to be put down, and my farrier had to have a back surgery and retired. So I lost my consult person. I lost my person that I could bounce things off of. And I really, really miss him because I noticed that I've lost my my confidence because he's not there to say, you know, do this a little bit, do this a little bit. So I had asked Jeremy if he would consider opening up for consultations, and this can be for horse owners or for farriers who are starting out their new job or needing a mentor, because mentoring is so important in this sort of work. So he graciously offered a 30-minute private consultation. So I'm going to leave a link for that also. And you can contact him about anything feet. Okay. So anything feet. And here's his information for that. Yeah, you're welcome, Carol. It's important. And I sent him some photos of my mare, and he sent me the best email back. And I just have to print it off, and I'm going to have to go through it one piece at a time, because that's kind of how I work, is I need to really break stuff down. But the first thing he helped me with is he said, your mare's feet look really good. And I was like, oh, good, because I was so scared. I'm messing her up. She's all going to be messed up. But he gave me some great tips. And now I'm going to be able to kind of hone my own eyes to the advice that he gives me. And so I'm super excited for this and grateful. So for those of you that want some help with some feet, or just want to bounce some stuff off of him, give him a call, and you guys can figure out how to do that and what that's going to look like for you. And so if you have any questions, guys, reach out to me. And then you also have Wanda and Jeremy's email. You can reach out to them for information to them also. And we will get whatever you need out to you. Okay? So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Wanda and Jeremy, for your time. Much appreciated. And have a good night tonight.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.